OpenClaw has been the hot thing in AI lately.
Peter Steinberger's here, and he wrote a piece of software. It's called OpenClaw. I don't know if he realized how successful it's going to be, but the importance is profound. OpenClaw is the #1, it's the most popular open source project in the history of humanity, and it did so in just a few weeks. It exceeded what Linux did in 30 years. And it's that important. It is that important.
You might be wondering, like, why should I care? How is it different from what I'm already using with ChatGPT? I'm here to explain that today, again, on my little property walk and making sure I got my bear spray, because it's bear season out here and we don't want to get eaten by bears. A couple of things about the OpenClaw revolution. In my last video, I shared a tremendous amount of enthusiasm for OpenClaw, and I figured it's worth diving into the difference between ChatGPT and Claude or Grok or whatever AI chatbot you use versus OpenClaw, because I think a lot of people, they might perceive it as noise, but it's actually worth digging into. So first of all, OpenClaw compared to ChatGPT, let's say, we'll use that as the example, is way more customizable and programmable. With OpenClaw, you can build a relationship with your AI agent. The more you talk to it, the more the relationship compounds. Whereas with ChatGPT, as an example, the conversation resets every single time. You can't build on top of conversations. And more importantly, on the point of customization and programmability, yeah, with ChatGPT and like your regular AI chatbots, I think there's like a little bit of customization you can do, but you can't look deep within the file architecture and the file system. And with OpenClaw, it's this open agent framework that you download. And, if you are renting a virtual private server and running your AI agent off of the VPS, you can use something like Forklift and look directly into the file system architecture of how the AI agent organizes itself. You can create folders and you can create structure around it, and you can upload files, let's say transcripts of YouTube videos or an investment report that you received from somewhere, and you can directly upload it into a specific file path and tell your AI agent that, okay, I've uploaded something here, look into this file at this specific file path and do stuff with it. And I mean, the possibilities are literally endless. You just have to use your imagination. But being able to organize yourself with your AI agent like this is so powerful, and a paradigm that I haven't experienced with your regular AI chatbots. I think you can do a little bit of customization in the chat interface. You go to chatgpt.com or claude.com or whatever, and yeah, I think you can modify small bits of it in the user interface, but it's mostly, pretty not customizable. You're mostly stuck within the chat interface. ChatGPT resets after every conversation. OpenClaw doesn't. It compounds over time the more you use it. It becomes more and more helpful because precisely of your ability to self-organize. You're kind of looking directly into the brain of your OpenClaw agent, because being able to know exactly how the brain works within your AI agent, you start to immediately understand even more about how AI might search through its sort of brain and file architecture to self-organize and give you better results and outputs. And I think I also missed a larger point, is that with the customization and programmability of it, you can also directly modify these markdown files. They're kind of like .txt files within the agent's architecture to give it even more personality and give it more instructions and boot up prompts. So basically, like every time the agent starts up, it will read through a whole bunch of different markdown text files and figure out what it is that it needs to load up on boot up. There's a soul.md, there's users.md, agents.md, and you can add even more to that based on how you nest different instructions and files within those markdown files. And so you have so much power and process control over how the agent even boots up itself and what files it can recall from which folder location. That customization and programmability is simply non-existent. Or if it is, then most people aren't using it. So with OpenClaw, this architecture, this file system is directly within your control, because if you don't tinker with these files, then you might as well be using ChatGPT or Claude or Grok. Another thing, I wanted to give you an example of why OpenClaw is so powerful, especially for me, is that, okay, so I'm here in my local mountain town. Every morning, I wake up and at 6 a.m., my AI agent has already sent me a report of my local mountain's snow conditions. So I'll know if it has snowed in the past 24 hours and if it snowed overnight, what the base temperature is and what the freezing level is. It would have also done a digest for me, sending me all of the most important crypto news items and bulletins from the past 24 hours. And it would do the same for AI. And all of that comes through by the time I wake up. I don't have to go in and say, I want this research done. I want this report booted up. There is no prompting required. So one of the most powerful things about OpenClaw is that you can set up cron jobs, and cron jobs is basically a system level prompt where you say, like, okay, at 6 a.m. every day, I want so-and-so done. By 7 a.m., I want Twitter scrape scraped and I want Reddit scraped and whatever else. ChatGPT can't do that for me. The cron jobs that you can set up with your AI agent on OpenClaw is a very powerful tool that you can use. I'm gonna walk this way actually today. The cron jobs in OpenClaw is one of the ways you can get your agent to actually be autonomous and do things on its own without you prompting it. Now, obviously you have to prompt it to create this cron job, but because of the ability to create cron jobs, to schedule tasks in advance, you can begin to imagine setting up a self-iterating loop where you create a cron job at like 6 a.m. to start doing research, and then a cron job at 6:30 to synthesize the findings and reports from the previous cron job. And then by like 7 a.m. you would create another cron job to say like, okay, like build a tool based on these learnings. And then by 7:30 a.m. cron job a brief report about what you've learned and what you've built. And it's a really powerful way to get AI to actually be autonomous and do things for you while you sleep. One of the classic use cases that people talk a lot about online is, oh, like I'm getting OpenClaw to make money for me or like to do trading for me. And again, like it's not like these things are like brand new, like trading bots and AI helping you make money. Like these things have been talked about for a long time, but you know, for the first time, it's actually fairly accessible to your standard consumer as long as you know how to and have a desire to tinker with your OpenClaw setup. So yeah, the cron job is insane. And I mean, I've probably got at least like 10 to 15 cron jobs set up with my AI agents. Everything from, as I already mentioned, scraping my local mountains, snow forecast and weather, and then scraping Twitter and Reddit to do research on which items has had the most engagement. That's most relevant for the stuff that I care about, like crypto and AI. I have a cron job that is putting it into I'm trying to at least, a self-iterative loop. I've scheduled my AI agent to look through its own file architecture and system, do research online, and then build any improvements necessary to keep improving upon itself and get rid of stale files. And if I did it, you can do it. And ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, it ain't about to do any cron jobs for you. It ain't about to work for you while you sleep. Cron jobs, fucking, it's sick, man. And then last but not least, you can set up your AI agent through WhatsApp or Telegram or Discord or any other number of messaging applications. And so I have mine set up with WhatsApp. There's still a little bit of friction when you want to use AI and you have to open the ChatGPT app or the Claude app or the Grok app or the Gemini app. And it's hard to build habits when it's in a totally separate interface, but it's not hard to build a habit of using something when it's in the interface that you already use. So for example, for me, WhatsApp, I'm already using it with my friends, and now I can talk to my AI agent through WhatsApp as if I was talking to Claude in the chat interface. This is a really powerful, very habit-forming feature about OpenClaw because like, yeah, if I can set up cron jobs, if I can diagnose and get my agent to self-organize just through WhatsApp or Telegram or Discord, then that is all of a sudden a lot less friction than having to open a separate app. This has sort of been my realization about why OpenClaw is the shit and why I think everyone should get on OpenClaw. Depending on how you set up your OpenClaw and depending on how secure you are with, you know, setting it up, tinkering with it, you could give your OpenClaw access to your calendar, emails, messaging apps, bank accounts, everything. It knows your entire life context and can do things for you in your life context in a way that other chatbot interfaces could never even begin to imagine rivaling. And so just the customization available within OpenClaw is mind-boggling. You could do so much more with OpenClaw compared to chatbot interfaces. If you're not already on OpenClaw, I would at least suggest that you give it a try and tinker with it, download it, try and get it set up. There have been rumblings online on the internet from people saying OpenClaw is too expensive to use. And I may concede that point because API tokens can be quite expensive. But for me, the opportunity cost of having an all-encompassing, all customizable, all-knowing AI agent that can do everything for me for $100 USD per month is well worth the cost compared to hiring a personal assistant for, I don't know how much you pay personal assistants go for these days. OpenClaw can do everything that a personal assistant can do and more and better and follow your instructions even more clearer than any IRL human personal assistant could ever dream of doing. At that cost, it's a no-brainer. If you're thinking of starting up your own OpenClaw, or you want to tinker with it and play with it and see how it could serve you, but you're a little afraid of what are the best and most secure practices and what are the things that you must do in the beginning, I would say definitely reach out, follow along for more of this type of content because I'll definitely be dropping more videos on tips and tricks and the secrets of the trade of using OpenClaw. And it's been so much fun tinkering with it. And I think everyone should get on it. OpenClaw, it's the shit. It's actually so fucking cool. And it is the influx point for when AI actually becomes useful and important for human beings. So that's it for my video today. Stay tuned for more. I just finished a really fun shoot with Zion from the Railgun team. And so more crypto content coming your way, but with the additional benefit of more AI content coming your way. It's a beautiful day out here, guys. Wish y'all could be with me along this quiet, solemn train track. Makes for a great hike out here. And yeah, hope to see you guys soon in the next video. That's it for now. Peace.